Hey everyone, we're the Spooky Ghouls Club. We're a small group of horror fans from the northwest of the UK, and on our channel we're going to be reading true ghost encounters, ghost hunting, and any other related spooky horror genre. If you'd like to submit a story, then email us to the address on screen, giving as much detail as you possibly can, including where you are from the UK and one social media handle of yourself. So today we have 3 more ghost stories from Liverpool, so sit back and enjoy. The human eye can only detect variations of black and white, and the spectrum of just 7 colours, but there have been many well-documented cases of people having eyes that are also sensitive to ultraviolet and infrared light. In 1920 in Liverpool, there lived an 11-year-old boy, Peter Mills, who began to develop a very unusual faculty. He claimed that he could see right through solid objects as if he had X-ray vision. It all began when young Peter casually informed his shocked mother that his eldest sister Patricia had a little baby growing in her belly. Mrs. Mills dismissed her son's strange claims as being the product of an overactive imagination. However, she had to think again when a week later, Patricia Mills eloped with a man almost twice her age from their street and later wrote home with the news that she was expecting his baby. On another occasion, Mrs. Mills had a valuable pocket watch stolen during a wedding reception, and young Peter swivelled around in his seat and started to scrutinise the bemused rows of guests. After a short time, the boy pointed towards Mrs. Mills' brother-in-law and accused him loudly and publicly of having the watch. The brother-in-law refused to empty his pockets to prove his innocence, and a fight ensued. After the altercation, the defeated relative produced a stolen watch from his pocket, flung it at Peter's father, and stormed out of the reception. Peter Mills's extraordinary powers were thoroughly tested by a professional magician and were declared to be genuine. The child could even detect what was written on a piece of paper which had been placed in a sealed, lead-lined box. He was also able to tell people what colour underwear they were wearing and also if they had had their appendix removed. By 1929, his mysterious gift of X-ray vision slowly began to fade, and sadly, one of the last things Peter Mills managed to detect with his unique eyes was a true tumour in his mother's breast, from which she died not long afterwards. This strange tale concerns a Liverpool-born man who possessed an inexplicable immunity to fire. It may seem far-fetched, but as you probably know, there are people in India and the Polynesian islands who can firewalk over a bed of glowing hot coals without damaging the soles of their feet. And also there is an incident well documented by the Romans concerning the 2 early Christian martyrs, Cosmas and Damian, who could not be burnt at the stake despite 3 or 4 attempts by their captors, and in the end were beheaded. In 1842, there was a large-scale fire at Crompton Street in Liverpool, which destroyed 9 warehouses and spread over 7 acres. There's never been such a blaze in the city since, and hopefully there never will be. The bodies of a fireman and 3 labourers were so badly burnt that even their bones had been reduced to ashes. Miraculously, there was one survivor, William Coker, a labourer who was found unconscious but still alive in one of the burnt-out warehouses. His clothes had been completely burnt off him, but his skin wasn't even singed, which people thought extremely peculiar. According to Coker, he had been trapped with his mother in a blazing house when he was a child, and despite the house being totally gutted, he and his mother inexplicably emerged unscathed from the flames. Their neighbours considered this very strange, and there were rumours that there was something demonic about Mrs. Coker and her son. On another occasion, William Coker was in Wales visiting his uncle, who was a blacksmith. His uncle was hammering a glowing orange incandescent horseshoe. It slipped from the tongs and clattered to the ground, creating a huge shower of sparks. Without a second thought, William Coker casually picked it up with his bare hands and placed it back on the anvil, without showing any signs of discomfort. He also had the ability to handle glowing coals from a fire, and on one occasion, in an astonishing display of his immunity from heat and fire, he applied the fierce flame of a blowtorch to his tongue without sustaining the slightest injury. A highly unusual fireproofness was never satisfactorily explained. A few years ago, there was a spate of poltergeist activity centred around a teenager called Alice who lived in Speke. At first, the family thought the house was haunted and they decided to move elsewhere, but the poltergeist followed them and it actually started knocking and tapping on the roof of the windscreen of the removal van and even cracked the near side mirror. The funniest yet also most alarming incident took place as the girl was playing football in their new garden. The poltergeist somehow pulled off her underwear without removing her outer clothes. The girl was naturally shocked and screamed as a bra and briefs fluttered about in the air before landing on the neighbour's clothesline. The phenomenon was investigated with 3 people and they actually witnessed the poltergeist activity in the kitchen of the girl's home. Knives, pots, pans flew about all over the place and an unplugged electric kettle started to boil furiously. One of the investigators actually taped the sounds in the room. On the recording, there's a voice of a man groaning loudly, yet no one present remembers hearing the voice at this time. The poltergeist then turned nasty, and what can only be described as a very strong, cold gust of air engulfed the investigators. 2 of the investigators turned and fled in panic, but 1 stayed, and something strong pushed against their chest, almost knocking them over. At this point, Alice's mother stepped forward to help them, and a long carving knife flew through the air straight towards her. It missed her by millimetres and finished up embedded in the door of the gas meter cupboard in the hall. Then just as suddenly as it began, all the activity ceased and the house fell silent. Afterwards, all the cutlery, pots, pans in the kitchen were found to have been magnetised. After that day, the poltergeist was only active for 1 more brief period and it has been uneasily quiet in the house ever since.